CITV official, and also you can get us live on our shortcut platform, that is 23814, 23814. And of course, as we continue with this particular conversation, we will be glad to sample some of your opinions on this particular subject, and we'll appreciate your input on the same. But of course, as we always do, there are quite a number of other things that have been making headlines across the country in this past 1 week. And of course, Kagi, quite a number of issues that we've seen making headlines.
Yes, and one of the issues that are making headline today is the issue of the bipartisan talks between the government, the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And we are aware by yesterday both teams had really brought forward their members who are going to represent them in the talks, which are expected to be able to kick maybe along the week. And one thing that is coming up is that these talks were being pushed by other quarters and even members of the religious groups who are really pushing the president and Mr. Odinga to have some ground to be able to bring our country in order. And we thank God, because at least now everything is moving on well. But one thing is coming up, as you followed up yesterday, the members of parliament from Kenya Kwanza, I heard them talking about their position, and their press conference yesterday signaled something that might be coming, whereby it's as if the Kenya Kwanza have taken position regarding to their talks, even before the talks have started. And I remember one of the things they have said is that they are going to center their talks along the IEBC issues, and also the issue of the servers. They said categorically that they are not ready at all to be able to discuss the issue of server, because they don't have any mandate to be able to open the servers. And I think this is one of the weighty issues that Azimio is looking forward to ensure that the servers are being opened. And I believe that today, as I heard the Azimio yesterday, they were saying that before they start talking, the two parties,
yes,
there must be some talks before the main talks. You hear that? So, and
talks
I believe
before talks.
Talks before talks.
Yes.
And I think they need first of all to agree on one or two issues before they start talking.
And that is quite interesting, Bwana Kagi, because
Yes.
these are now two formations which are supposed to actually help the country to reach some consensus. And remember, this is coming after the chaotic, if we can actually refer to it as that, the chaotic maandamano that we saw. And the maandamano was stopped so that at least we could give dialogue some space and be in a position to see what is it that maybe can be done to help and to actually reach us a solution or to reach some form of consensus on what has actually been the bone of contention between the two sides, that is the government side and also the opposition side. Now, of course, I know most people will want now to find out, because if there are already some stand, or if there are already some position that has actually been taken by these two sides, then what are the scenarios, and how possible is it that you can actually reach some agreement if they already are going to these particular talks, or they are going to engage, but they already have their positions, they already have what they maybe what they already believe that they cannot go beyond.
Yes, and I feel if they are not going to be very careful, they are going to start the talks on a very bad footing. They need to be very careful, because what Kenyans need for now, everybody knows, is that we need to have a stable country. We know our economy is dwindling day and night, and therefore we desire to have a stable country to be able to run our activities. But let's see what will happen. And one of the things the Kenya Kwanza are categorical, as I said before, they are saying that they are ready to talk about the IEBC, but the constitution of IEBC, we know that there was some really serious headline from the Azimio who were against the parliament selection committee to appoint members of the IEBC, saying that the parliament is not independent. And it's as if the president has really agreed, the both parties to talk and agree, but also they are saying they're not going to allow the Cherera 4 to be back in IEBC, right?
So yeah, and that is actually what is making now the talks, or actually what, what is making now that particular engagement to be quite tricky. And maybe the country will actually be following up to see what is it that maybe will need to be done, and maybe it will actually require maybe now the input again or the contribution of the two key leaders.
Yes.
Okay, that is the President William Ruto and also the Azimio chief, that is Raila Odinga.
One thing that is coming up, which is very interesting, Mangicho, is the constitution of these members of this bipartisan committee, whereby the Azimio has really pulled heavyweights on their side, as compared to the Kenya Kwanza, who have not really brought in members of parliament who are experienced, who are vocal as compared to Azimio. Something that maybe I think the Kenya Kwanza knows it better. And I believe if you could bring the members who are expected on the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, I think those talks will be very smoky. But I believe there's a reason why people are expecting someone like Kimani Ichung'wah to be there, you know, but he is out of the talks, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that is why yesterday he was blazing fire.
Yeah, but I think, it's true. If you look at that particular list, because I was saying, like, on the side of Kenya Kwanza, the team will be led by Kakamega Senator, that is Honorable Boni Halwale.
Yes.
Boni Halwale is quite an experienced person when it comes to these issues. He's somebody who has actually been in the elective positions for quite some time. He's somebody who at least, and again, the good thing is that he has been now, there was a time he worked, if we could actually refer to it as, he worked with the opposition. There was a time he was in that particular camp. Now he's in the side of government. So I think he's a man who is experienced in this particular field. And if they are willing, I think if they are willing, because if you also look at the other side, Otiende Amolo is also a lawyer.
Yes.
Very experienced, somebody who is very knowledgeable. So I think what they need to do is put the interest of the country. I think one of the things that will be a major challenge, or one of the things that maybe will be an impediment to the success of this particular conversation, or the success of these particular negotiations between the two camps, will be in whose interest. If the Kenya Kwanza side comes to the table with their interest at heart, or actually coming to the table knowing that there is nothing short of their interest being put into consideration, then it will be difficult for them to achieve any success.
Yes.
The same case applies to the other side of the Azimio. So I think there should be that give and take.
And one last thing, which is a bone of contention, is the appointment, but the selection of Eden Kainan, who is from the Jubilee side, whereby Azimio are really against his participation.
Is a member of parliament from Azimio or from Kenya Kwanza?
From Azimio
He's a member
coalition. You know, Jubilee is still under Azimio as per constitution. And if, according to law, they are saying this guy belongs to our camp, and therefore he cannot be on the other side to be able to discuss with us.
And I think they had actually mentioned something to do with that.
Yes.
The importance of respecting political parties, the importance of actually respecting those who have been elected on particular political parties, because this is actually what we saw, the hemorrhage of so many elected leaders who were elected on Jubilee or maybe on Azimio side, but have shifted their allegiance or loyalty now to the Kenya Kwanza side.
Do you believe, Mangicho, even today the Political Parties Act still is alive?
I think this is it's actually a very, very it's an unfortunate scenario, because we don't have respect.
If there is an area whereby our politicians have really sabotaged the operations, is the area of Political Parties Act, whereby I don't think politicians even bother about the Political Parties Act. If they could bother, if you look at the laws, they are very clear.
Sure.
Anyway, another issue that is coming up, Mangicho, is the issue of the Mount Kenya members of parliament. Not all of them, but section of Mount Kenya members of parliament are pushing for the amendment of the constitution. It seems as if my own observation is that some members of parliament from the Mount Kenya, they are feeling it. They are regretting why they failed to support BBI, because some of the things they are trying to bring about, they are in the BBI. For example, the issue of one man, one vote is coming up very clearly. They are saying that this issue needs to be relooked at because of the equitable distribution of our resources. And they are saying that if you look at the way the bursaries are being distributed, which comes from the CDF, it's something that is not equitable. And they are saying This time around, we need to come on the table. We need to push our people and even the government to allow us to amend the constitution to allow one man, one vote. How? They are saying there are some areas in this country whereby the bursaries, a child is being given a check to fund his or her education from high school to college or university. Others are even going to abroad to get education. While there are some areas like in Mount Kenya, if you look very well, they cannot even be able to afford to get 3,000 or 5,000 as a bursary. So they're feeling as if they are not well taken care of in terms of equitable distribution of our resources. But
Sure, yeah.
some guys who are against the amendments of constitution are trying to, I think, to propagate. These guys who are proposing the amendments of constitution are pro-Raila. And you know, when you go to Mount Kenya, you preach the gospel of pro-Raila. Their ears are very much open, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
They take that kind of a gospel with a lot of attention.
But you see, before you contribute,
Yes.
if you look at the government, it is slowly implementing some proposals in the BBI, many of them.
Yeah.
You see, like the office of the opposition was a proposal at BBI, you know, and many other things that are being implemented by the government today, which I think were in the BBI, and they are feeling, some of them are feeling, many of the areas, like the position of a prime cabinet secretary was a proposal at BBI, and today that position is there, even though it is not in the constitution per se. But you see the operations of the office of the prime cabinet secretary is as if it's an official office. And they are feeling many areas in the BBI which were to benefit the government are implemented by the Kenya Kwanza as compared to areas of equitable distribution of resources.
Yeah, very, very interesting there, scenario, Kagi. And rightly as you've put it, because I remember this is a subject that had made a lot of headlines, if you can recall, just maybe towards the end of last year, and also even towards the last general election. This is a subject that had actually made a lot of headlines, and there was a lot of talk concerning the one man, one shilling, one vote. And it's a very interesting discussion because, honestly speaking, the counties that we are having are different in terms of even the population, and it would actually not. It would actually one would want to find out or even to raise that particular concern that if one county has a population that is larger than maybe another county, how is it possible that the two counties can actually receive the same amount of allocation? Because definitely one county will be required or will actually be compelled maybe to distribute, or the money that it will be allocated is maybe, for example, the CDF will be lower compared maybe to a county that has a lesser population. Anyway, I think there is something that is also coming out very strongly here, that we could be having some good ideas also as a nation, as a society, but then the problem that has been actually bedeviling us as a society is where now we have bad politics injected into maybe an idea that is good.
Yes.
So maybe it is something that was a good idea, but now because of political interest and maybe because there were some political forces that maybe thought they would not really benefit, or maybe because of the political capital that comes with something like this, that is when now maybe we lose, or that is when now maybe we fail to implement some of these good ideas. But maybe as we continue, people's eyes will be open and maybe they will be able to see the importance of implementing such an idea.
Yes, Mangicho, and finally, I want to repeat something I had proposed last time when we were here, not last program, but previous programs, regarding to the issue of bursary. If you look at our programs in regarding to bursary, I feel if you look at our constituencies,
Right.
they are spending more money in bursary than even development. You know, one MP was saying, who is called George Koimburi from Juja, allocation to my constituencies for the bursary kitty is 40 million, which I am supposed to share to 70,000 applicants. Do your mathematics and tell me how much we will each get. But you see, if he is spending 40 million in bursary, and I think they're receiving around 100 million in bursary, or 130 million, that is almost close to heading to a half of that budget. If you go to county governments, they are spending more money in bursaries, which is very okay. If you go to our members of the county assemblies, they are spending more money in our bursaries. If you go to the Ministry of Education, they have a slot for our bursaries. So why don't we then come again and bring a policy? We, instead of spending all this money in the constituency, in the ward, in the county, to pay for free education to our children, because all this money are coming from our tax, why don't you make education free?
Okay.
Yeah. Instead of sharing some money to county, go and give some people, children, money for the education. Constituency, give money for free education. The wards, give money for education. Why don't you bring all this money in one basket and we make our education free, and we leave our counties, we leave our constituencies and wards for other activities?
Yeah, I think a very good point there, Kagi. It's something that needs to be looked into, because even as we have these, like you've rightly put it, bursaries, all these initiatives to at least help in terms of the education sector, we are still seeing quite a number of our pupils, quite a number of our students across different areas, across different places, actually going through quite a lot of hardship because they cannot be in a position to cater, or maybe even their parents or maybe even their guardians cannot be in a position to cater for their school fees, to cater for their education needs. So I think there is quite much that needs to be done. And of course, again, when it comes to even the management of these particular kitties, like the Constituency Development Fund, which actually comes with the part of education, I think also the poor management, or actually the mismanagement, has also been one of the factors that has actually been hampering. So I think these are some of the things that actually need to be streamlined, and so that at least we can be able to see what is it that maybe needs to be done to ensure that everything is actually put in order. I think that is also a very, very good area to actually be looked into. There was another story, Kagi, that was also quite interesting and raising eyebrows. It was actually in the Daily Nation of reports of invasion of private property. You remember, I think it was, I think 2 weeks ago, when we saw the very, very frustrating and very unfortunate scenario whereby we had some goons who invaded the land of former President Uhuru Kenyatta in Northlands, Kiambu County, something that was very, very unfortunate. Now, they are saying that there are reports of people now, actually civilians, invading private property in areas, even in Nakuru, Bomet. I've also seen Kilifi and also parts of Kiambu. And this is something that I think really needs, the police have already raised alarm. I think this is something that needs to be looked into, because if people can actually take the law into their hands and maybe just go and invade a private property, I think it really points to a very, very bad precedence being set there.
Yes, and I think we have to be very careful. Our leaders need to be very careful, because you can mention something that, one thing that I have learned is that public are really keen on what our leaders are saying.
Yes.
And our leaders need to be very much careful in anything that you say in public. They take it seriously. So I think it's too unfortunate that people can just take law on their hands. I think the laws are very clear. If you have a dispute regarding to any land, you cannot just wake up and take someone's land because you need land, or maybe you are saying you are a squatter or something. I think we need to follow the due course, so that everybody can have a fair hearing. Can you imagine, Mangicho, someone really worked hard, had some money, and bought like 100 acres of land, 200, 300, you bought that land. And I think law must protect these people, because it is their sweat. If it is the view.
Although Kagi, on that point, of course, we are not advocating for, and we are not maybe we are not okaying, or we are not endorsing what maybe people, or maybe those kind of acts or those kind of conduct where people are invading those private property. But I also know in this particular country there has been the question of how is it that some of these people have acquired some of this property. I know that is something that is very debatable in this particular country, because when you talk about land grabbing, property grabbing in this country, I think this is something that you can have a conversation for so long. But then that does not mean, or that does not now legitimize what the people are doing, or what some of these unruly people are doing, just going and invading this particular property or this particular land.
Yes, and that's why we are saying that we need to allow the law to take its course. If you go and seek to know whether this person acquired land legally, I think the law is very clear. Now, the problem is, Mangicho, today we are talking about invading someone's land. Tomorrow, something else might crop up. People start asking yourself, how did you open all this business or this company? How? Where did you get this money from?
Sure.
You know, we need to get employment from this company. You know, anything can come out of what is happening here. So the earlier the better we manage this situation the best way that we can to avoid other supplementary situations that can be able to maybe elicit some pressure on our investors.
Yeah, it's actually, and as you've put it, it is actually the obligation, it's actually the duty, it's the responsibility of those who are in leadership to make sure that they measure what is it that they say. Whatever is it that they say, either in public or even in private, will be taken very, very sensitively, or will be taken in a very weighty manner by those who they are leading. So as leaders, they have to be very careful, because some of the statements that they make, they are those the electorate might actually take that is what needs to be done, okay? Like I remember there was a lot of feeling that the unruly people who went to invade the former president's land, it was because of what the sentiments, or it's actually because of the statements that were being given, or the statements that had actually been given by some of the leaders, especially from those particular areas. So it is very important for leaders to actually show leadership, both in action, both in deed, and also from what they say or from what they talk about.
Yes, and one more issue is that the Interior CS, Kithure Kindiki, will be the first MP to face the House in the afternoon to answer questions directly from members of the Parliament. You know, our constitution was changed. The 2010 constitution was changed not to allow the members of the cabinet to be able to go to Parliament. And I feel the Kenya Kwanza administration was very keen on this, to allow the members of the cabinet to go before the floor of the House and to answer some questions from the legislators every Wednesday afternoon. And one of the, they call them the standing orders of the Parliament, is that there's no way they are going to allow delegation.
Okay.
If you are called to answer questions regarding to your ministry, then you have to go in person. You answer those questions. I think it's calling up for more responsibility among the members of Parliament. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that we really want to look forward to. Maybe because we've not maybe been used to seeing this kind of a scenario maybe in the past, and I think this time round,
yes,
we want to find out first of all what is it that the members of Parliament will actually be looking into, or what are some of the issues that they will be putting into consideration, even maybe as they give these cabinet secretaries an opportunity maybe to explain to the country, to explain to the citizens what is it that they've been doing, how their ministries have actually been performing. Because I remember, or I actually feel, and I'm thinking that maybe there are quite a number of Kenyans who actually don't know even some of these cabinet secretaries and what they are supposed to do at their mandate. And we also want to believe that then it is not just going to be some form of public relations, because I'm trying to imagine if there is a scenario whereby maybe a particular cabinet secretary will be found wanting, or they will be found not to have actually done what they are supposed to do. Maybe they've not actually hit the target that they are supposed to have hit by this particular period of time. Are we going to see heads rolling? Are we going to see some actions being taken? Are we going to maybe see some punitive measures being taken? I think this is something that we'll be able to, we will actually want to see. And also considering the fact that maybe some of these cabinet secretaries, of course, they've been appointed by the executive, and we know there are quite a number of members of Parliament who are also aligned to the executive. So is there a way? Are they going to be free enough? Are they going to be independent enough to put these cabinet secretaries on the line if they are found maybe not to have done what is it that they're supposed to have done. So I think we'll be looking forward to this and also trying to see what is it. And of course, like you've said, someone like the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, I think there's someone who got this particular job in a period when we've really seen quite a number of very, very weighty matters and weighty issues, especially concerning the security status in the country. I'm just remembering the news about the bandits going to one of the hospitals in North Rift, particularly in a town called D10, and they were able to actually go away with one of the patients who also happened to be a suspect of banditry. So you can just see how volatile the situation is and how this banditry matter is becoming a major, major menace, especially in this particular country. So I think for somebody like Kithure Kindiki, it will actually be a major, major session in terms of what is it that he has been doing, what is it that his ministry has been doing, what are some of the challenges, and maybe even trying to give us as a society or even maybe as a country what he thinks needs actually even to be improved to ensure that the security status in the country is improved.
And briefly, one of the advantages of having these members of the cabinet being before the House is to make them to be more accountable in their ministries.
Sure.
Once you know that you are going to be questioned by the members of parliament, you have to put yourself at par with what is happening in your ministry.
Okay.
And I think that it's because from
Kagi, my director is telling me that we can take a short break at this particular point.
Yes.
And of course, we'll be coming back also with our guest, Bwana Benson Macharia, governance expert, and we'll be able to delve into our main discussion of the day, that is addressing the financial crisis in the country. Keep watching MBCI TV. This is the Mid-Morning Pack.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Jipatie ploti ya 50 by 100 katika mandhari mazuri na ya kuvutia Viwandani Estate kwa shilingi 1649. Ploti hii inapatikana mkabala na Simba Cement, dakika 5 tu kutoka kwenye barabara kuu ya Nakuru Eldoret. Ploti hii ni mwafaka kwa kuishi. Kuna maji ya borehole na stima katika kila ploti. Ploti hizi zinaweza kufikiwa kwa urahisi kwani ziko karibu na barabara ya tarmac. Nunua sasa na upate miti iliyokomaa katika kila ploti. Tuma jina Nakuru kwa 21404 au tupigie 0758707050 au tutembelee jijini Nakuru Tower 1 Building. Haiso Properties, a culture of trust.
Kamilisha methali. Baniani mbaya,
baniani mbaya, nyani mzuri.
Kwa mfano hivi leo ufariki, rafiki yako wa dhati, chanda na pete, kufa kuzikana, halafu ile rafiki yako akose kuhudhuria mazishi yako. Kesho ama kesho kutwa rafiki yako naye afariki. Wewe kama rafiki yake wa dhati, utahudhuria ile mazishi ama hutahudhuria kwa sababu utalipiza kisasi?
Nitahudhuria. Nitahudhuria juu yako kuhudhuria yangu.
Haufai kulipiza. Hufai kulipiza.
I will praise you, Lord, for your grace of my life.
I praise you, Lord, Jesus, you are my Savior. I praise you, Lord, you are my Savior. I praise you, Lord, you are my Savior.
Is it from our village?
No way! No way!
Are you looking for a reliable retail and wholesale hardware store that is able to deliver quality and affordable products at your site? Shirdi Trading Stores Limited has been your hardware of choice for more than 12 years, serving the people of Nakuru with excellence and quality products. Our products include all kinds of chuma, hollow sections, black pipe, furniture pipe, round bars, square bar, deformed bars, MS plates, checkered plates, galvanized plates, H-beams, flat bars, angle bars, roofing sheets with special lengths, marine boards, cement, tank of all sizes, etc. at affordable prices. We also organize transport for our clients. Our main shop is located at Nakuru Eldoret Highway, Shabab Roundabout, opposite Total Petrol Station, while the distribution center and godown is located at Industrial Area opposite Kenya Power Depot. For more information, call us on 0711 600 101 or 0735 600 101, or you can use 0701 600 101. Shirdi Trading Stores Limited. We are your construction partner. Customer satisfaction is our first priority.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back. This is still the mid-morning pack. You're still watching us right here on MBCI TV. Thank you so much that you're still finding time to be with us, even as we continue to hope that you're enjoying this beautiful Wednesday. And just as we had highlighted as we were beginning this particular program, we are discussing about the current financial crisis in the country. And the Deputy President, even the President, have already told us as a country that we are facing very, very hard economic times or very hard financial times, and we want to find out then what does it mean for us as a country. What is it that needs to be done? What is it that needs, what are some of the measures that needs to be put into place? And of course, that is also the question that we are asking you, because we also appreciate your input and also your contribution in the discussion. The question we are asking you: what are your opinions, what are your views on the current financial crisis in the country? Continue giving us those views on our social media platforms. Facebook, that is MBCI TV, and also on YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official, and also on our shortcut platform 23814. Drop a comment or two, we'll be glad. And as we had promised, we are being joined now by a guest that is Bwana Benson Macharia, is a devolution and also a governance expert, is here to help us look at this particular matter in details. Karibu sana. We're happy that you found time to be with us today.
Thank you, Mangicho, for having me in your studios today.
Sure.
Always to come here and discuss matters of national importance, exactly, and also at the county level.
Exactly.
So that our people can understand what we are doing and what is actually happening at the current position.
Sure.
As we continue looking at how the government is going to operate.
That's very true. Welcome, Karibu sana. And of course, we'll be getting into this particular matter because this is actually what every Kenyan is talking about today, the current financial situation in the country. But just before you came on set, there are quite a number of things that we've highlighted with Kagi, but maybe you can just pick on this too, the bipartisan talks. What is your feeling about these particular two groups? And also, you can also give us your opinion on the CSS now going into Parliament and trying maybe to be queried on the performance of their ministries.
Okay. First of all, we must agree as a country that we needed to get a way forward because the demonstration had started. You see the foreign nations are now asking what is happening in Kenya, right, what is going on. And you see at the end of the day, as a president of the republic, you know, just bury your head in the sand and assume nothing is going. Because you see the government talked about losing billions of money when it comes to issues of business, people not going for work, and so on and so forth. Which means that when it is now also the work of also the foreign embassies, who also call the Azimio leader. They actually call him, it is now time maybe to call for a truce, and maybe can we come and discuss what's the way forward for the country. From my perspective, I think the pressure has come from both sides, whereby we needed to bring all of them so that we don't have the stance that we are seeing. The deputy president on the other side is James Stamping, and the other side on the Azimio, they are also saying they are calling him names as a deputy president. That is not good for a country, for an economy like Kenya. So for the bipartisan talks, let them come. And we as Friends of Devolution, we appreciate because they will be issue-based. not theories.
Okay.
If we are going to talk about maize, if we are going to talk about a certain policy that we think Kenya Kwanza is not implementing the direction, then I think as Parliament we can have something and a way forward so that we can discuss about it. And that's why you see, even right now, many people have not been able to understand what is the gist of the bipartisan talks. That's why these others are talking about IBC, they are giving their stand, and also the Azimio side. So we need to come out and really understand they must come up with what they want to achieve, so that as a country we can know our MPs are going to discuss. What are they going to discuss? Then we as citizens, are we going to give our input, or is just only a few people will sit in a boardroom and decide this is the way for our country? Yes,
that's very interesting. Going by the formation of these particular two groups, there are those who are thinking that maybe the hardliners have been left out because maybe the leaders maybe thought that they would jeopardize the success of this particular talks or this particular conversation. Do you have some trust in the formation, the members?
Yeah, like for example, in the Kenya Kwanza being led by Boni Halwale, you can understand Boni, in as much as sometimes he's a bullfighter and he has been even throwing stones, he's a good orator who understands issues to do with the whole republic.
Yes.
He has not just been speaking about Western, but the issues of the country and the republic at large, which means that as a republic, this kind of person, and again also, he does not represent the two antagonists communities that are there within Kenya Kwanza.
Right.
You see, sometimes people don't understand. You see, there are people who want Kenya Kwanza to belong to them, this tribe. The other tribe wants them. But when you choose a Luhya, for example, I'm just giving an example, it gives Boni Halwale, a person who has been in parliament, he has been also in Senate. So in the discussion that are going to be there, it will be centered around national values and issues, and also at the counties, as we try to seek issues to do with counties and promote devolution. You understand, he was the senator, and also he ran for governorship, but he didn't make it. So we are also expecting that even the persons he has been given, they are not headliners. They will listen that this is the way these people are talking from this side and other side. The other side also, we take cognizance of the fact that also Azimio, they have also brought some lawyers and people who can actually argue on point form, so that they can actually engage. What we are just saying, they must be given an opportunity to conclusively debate on certain matter. But if again now they sit down, let me go to Raila Orange House and ask, you will see those shuttling. Again, we are not going to have bipartisan talk. We'll have bipartisan negotiation.
And of course, you know, their main job there is to work for their party leaders. That's the main business there.
So that basically means that they'll have to consult the party leaders. Yes. That is contrary to what you are saying. So
and that's now the problem, that now they need to tell us what are they going to discuss. So that we tell them, if you are going to discuss about, for example, amending IBC, to which parameters or what areas are we going to address, and what does my party leader talks about? That's why you see even the PG was done yesterday, and immediately they came up with a press statement, which means the party leaders are the ones who are going to direct the talks. They are the ones who are going to, and you cannot discuss anything without Raila knowing. You cannot go there and start saying we have agreed no IBC amendment. They will still go back to Raila. They will still go back to Ruto. That's why we are still saying the talks must be above board. That is it. Otherwise, if they start taking us in charade, Kenyans will be taking round circles, and there is nothing tangible that the country will discuss, even by partisan talks.
Wow. Okay.
Mangecho, maybe before you continue, just for clarification, Mr. Ben, what are you expecting out of that bipartisan? Why all the way to Parliament? What are we expecting in the Parliament?
I think one thing that we are trying to come out from, parliamentarians are people representative. We expect they will represent the regions and the interests, whatever they have. Because even parliamentarians will have a sitting they will have their input to that bipartisan talks through the appointed committee members.
Yeah.
Which means we are expecting that the issues that they are going to deliberate there are issues that are affecting directly the
That is
Kenyans.
correct.
Yes.
After they deliberate those issues, they come into an agreement.
Yes.
Well, what happens from there? What do you expect? Are they going to amend laws in Parliament to come up with new laws regarding to what they have discussed or something?
Yes, I think that will be the course, because that's why it is taken to Parliament.
Yeah.
Because like this republic, there are so many things you cannot implement outside the law. And it is only through the Parliament that you can amend any law to fit a certain request or a particular issue that you want to address. What we are expecting is, if they will agree, for example, today to make Mangicho the Prime Cabinet Secretary. I'm just using as an example. Both the Azimio and both the Kenya Kwanza MPs will vote for that. So we don't mean again, Tena they go there to start antagonizing one another. If they agree, for example, we are not going to we are going to talk about issues of debt ceilings as a country. We are not going to adjust anymore so that we cannot hurt Kenyans when it takes more loans. Then they have to agree from both sides. So that's what we're expecting. Okay. And they will just have to tell us, at the end of the day, in as much as you see Kenya Kwanza saying and all that, they will sit down and come up with actionable points that they will have to achieve. And how are they going to achieve it?
Yes. Yeah, what are your feelings about cabinet secretaries now going to parliament?
I think that is the best thing for us to do. Yes. Because we have been having a cabinet secretary going to seminars and talking there about a particular issue. But they don't come to the public to tell us exactly what they are doing. And they just give statements. But our people's representative, for example, right now, we would expect that if, for example, my MP from Nakuru Town East or Nakuru Town West or Bahati or Subukia, we are expecting that a particular issue, for example, affecting the people of Subukia, when they are going to get a ministerial statement, we expect the minister to come in himself so that he can come out there and say, why is Kagi still occupying the bypass to the farm? Why is has he not been removed, or this and this has not happened? So that we have people who are going to be accountable to MPs. And you see, initially it was done to avoid mixing them with the politicians. But we have realized you cannot separate politics and development. And also this cabinet secretary, it will be upon them to get more information so that they don't know what Kagi will ask.
Yes.
They don't know what Mangicho will ask.
Correct.
So they will come there well prepared with documentation and proper briefing about those projects. And that's why you see, I heard there is this saying, they will not delegate. They are used to sending junior officers. Junior officers don't understand what is happening. Why you are in charge of a ministry? So you should go there, tell us when maize is coming, when is it arriving, how is it going to be distributed as a cabinet secretary. You know, this cabinet secretary, most of them are in seminars, meetings, and so on and so forth. So they don't understand. When they know they are going to face Kagi as MP Bahati, yes, they will know that there are issues from that area that I will have to know. So that even when you raise an issue from Eldoret or anywhere, they will come now back and give proper reports, as opposed to the way it is. So that the politicians can interact with them. Also, they will also need to, you know, this cabinet secretary previously, they were gagged from even meeting MPs. You know, meeting cabinet secretary was a major issue even in the last government. So that you find some cabinet, they just come there on media, they talk and then they leave. You can never see them. If they know now cabinet secretary, they will ignore MPs. They know next time they will not be allowed in parliament. Very true. Yes. So they need just to work, and they just have to work with parliamentarians, yes, and for that matter, listen to what Wanjiku is saying.
Wow, thank you so much. And of course, now we can get into our main area of discussion today, Bwana Macharia. We're talking about the current financial crisis that is actually the country is grappling with, and this is coming at a time when we're also being told that in more than 20 counties, members of staff of those counties have not received their salaries for the last 3 months. We are also being told that the Treasury has not disbursed funds for counties, and governors are saying that nothing is happening in the counties in terms of development projects, development initiatives. Quite a number of them are still halted. Quite a number of them are still paralyzed because there is no money. And this is also coming at a time when we've also seen quite a number of civil servants going home without salaries, and a very, very nasty kind of situation that actually has come to the country, and most Kenyans are wondering, and the leaders are saying that this is something that they are not actually to be blamed for, because this is something that they've been inherited from the previous regime. And so we want to find out, therefore, how did we arrive here? How do we get ourselves out of this particular situation? And maybe just to begin with, where is our money?
Thank you very much, Mangicho. We must understand where we are coming from. Even since 2013, before devolution came in, yeah, there were those local authorities. You would see they will go on strike for many months, for many days, weeks, and all that. They were push and shove. because of issues of salary. Why was that happening? Because they were not matching in terms of revenues collected in those areas with what the requirements, the resource requirement. Because you realize that maybe some of these counties, there was a lot of privilege, like maybe in the Municipal Council of Nakuru. You find a lot of money stolen. A lot of money was going into waste. So that when it comes to paying the staff and paying for essential services, nothing was being found. That's why when you came for devolution, it tried to equalize the same by making sure that we now have what we call the county revenue funds, whereby all the money you collect today, even if 100, even as a governor, you cannot consume that money. It has to go to the revenue so that we plan through the budget from Wananchi Wanjiko, we go through the process so that we can be able to access that money through the control of budget. Which means that counties, to a large extent, they have largely been depending on what the government is doing. The government of Kenya does not have farms or it does not sell coffee. Even as a country, we don't have minerals like gold that we can say we are really importing, we are really exporting and getting a lot of foreign exchange. So what the Kenyan government does, it comes to our pocket. It removes from the left pocket, brings to the right pocket. In terms of they come for tax, they do development on this other side. So the more we ask for development, the more they came here. Yeah. So the government realized that at the end of the day, they could not be able to match the same. So they started attracting foreign investors in terms of funding for opportunities and giving them loans. That's why we have come to issues of development to a levels that our country cannot sustain the development agenda with what we have. So we go for foreign countries. When we have gone for foreign countries, what they have done, they have actually improved our ceiling. That's why you see parliament, even the last regime, where the parliamentarians went to amend the debt ceiling to a certain amount, maybe 3 trillion, apart from 1.8 trillion. Why were they doing that? Because they were realizing Wananchi Wanjiko is calling for development, while at the same time here, whatever we are getting even from Wanjiko is not matching here. Again, our foreigners, they are willing to give us, but as long as we amend our laws so that we can be able to access the foreign debt, because the debt ceiling has to be done through the parliament. So if as a country we found that even now we are going to fund recurrent, that's now where we are. The last regime has been using money from loans to fund recurrent expenditure, which means that is a very that's a very serious issue, my people, because now you go unaomba deni, then you come and pay somebody's salary, and that person is not producing any money, it's just consuming, which means that even this government now has to change the tack. That's why they say the Kenya Kwanza, we have to make things different. That's why this time round, we are going to make sure we tell KRA, please collect the money. Once you have the money, then you can disperse even to pay salary. That's why you see there has been those disruption, and that's why also another disruption that has come in. When you come in as a government, you don't say it was Kagi who was the president. All the documents Kagi signed as a government, you are obliged to obtain. That's why government has liabilities and assets. Which means Kenya Kwanza, when they came, they found that already the last regime had committed themselves to these loans, and even some of them were maturing like 2 weeks ago. That's why you see some people complaining. But you know, the government sometimes does not take time to explain what we are doing, because like us, we have gone and sat down with the control of budget. And atambia mashari ya pesa yenu ndio hii. Ebu angalia kama hiyo pesa itawezekana kwa counties, because we used to complain that the counties are not receiving money. But they tell us we have 10 billion, counties need 100 billion. Now we have to wait for KRA, we have to wait for other partners to come in so that we can be able to fund it.
So if I'm hearing you well, Bwana Macharia, so what you're talking about is that number one, the current government is so much concerned about fixing the debt situation in the country. So do you support that this should come at the expense of what is facing the common Mwananchi, what is facing the counties, what is facing maybe the staff? Do we have to pay? Are we being asked to sacrifice?
Sometimes I just ask myself this question. As a country, where do we come and pay sacrifice, even to amend certain things? Because now the government cannot just do things the same way. You know, like the last regime, they inherited debts from Kibaki's regime. So when they came in, they just implemented the same strategies of borrowing, paying, and all of that. But now this time round, you have to try something new. That's why it may have some negative effects, and especially for accessing salaries like for our civil servants. But at the end of the maybe us as experts, when we look at this government, we are seeing the overall goal of this current Kenya Kwanza government, that maybe they want to arrest this situation of once. They are also paying, we are not going to pay in dollars. We are going to pay in Kenyan shilling. These dollars, the way we are doing, we are operating in a cartels of banks who are lending this to government. That's why you see these people, they call themselves marketers. Those people don't even own a shop. They don't even plant coffee. But they come and say, this will not be sold at this and this. And that was the issue of subsidy. Subsidy was saying, Kagi is coming with a unga, he wants to sell at 200. You tell him, oh, no, Kagi, please, don't sell at 200. Sell at 140. The difference of 60 shillings we are going to give him in form of subsidies. So those are the things the government is now trying to address. And probably many Kenyans may not really understand what they are going to do. And that's why they are being fixed on the issue ya kwamba. People were expected that maybe the government has money locked somewhere. They just need to open. The more we push them, the more they will come for the resources, even in our own pockets. That's why you find even the challenges that we have even as a country. They are saying this, but at the same time, they are saying we are going to pay next week. Then you delay for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we still have a crisis as a country in terms of us being able to service our debt, because there is what we call finally the debt management strategy. The debt management strategy is a document that is normally passed both at the county level and at the national government, trying to say how are we going to manage the debts we have and where are we going to get that money.
And I think maybe before Kagi, I know you also have some points to raise, but maybe first of all we can also join our reporter, that is Vincent Kimutai. He is our mid-morning park reporter who always goes to the streets and also find some of the comments and some of the sentiments from Kenyans regarding the discussion that we are having. And today, let's find out what are Kenyans saying about the current financial crisis in the country. Our reporter, Vincent Kimutai, take it away.
Shukrani sana Mangicho Mola pamoja na Paul Kagi mkiwa upande wa pili wa studio. Na katika kuendeleza mjadala ambao mnazungumzia hapo katika studio, ni kwamba niko hapa kuweza kuzungumza na Wakenya, kuweza kuchukua hisia zao kuhusiana na mjadala kwamba hakuna pesa za kutosha kufanikisha mgao katika serikali za kaunti pamoja na malipo katika wafanyikazi wa umma. Serikali ikisema haya yote yamesababishwa na madeni ambayo serikali inadaiwa ya shilingi trilioni 9.2. Lakini hapa nitakuwa nikizungumza na Wakenya kufahamu, je, ukosefu wa pesa katika serikali za kaunti zinamwathiri vipi, ikizingatiwa kuwa serikali za kaunti ndizo ambazo zinatoa huduma kwa Mkenya wa kawaida katika ngazi za kaunti.
Majina mimi naitwa Edith Wanjiru. For me naweza sema kitu ya kwanza tunashukuru sana kwa sababu ya serikali ambayo ilichaguliwa. Hiyo ni kitu moja ya kushukuru Mungu kwa sababu ya hiyo. Nashukuru kwa amani ambayo iko, watu wanaendelea kuseek peace. Hiyo ni kitu moja mimi naweza shukuru kwa hiyo. Kitu ya pili, serikali kwa hiyo mambo wanasema ati hakuna pesa. Mimi naweza sema iko pesa kwa sababu tunalipa tax. Ile tax ambayo tunalipa, tafadhali msitupatie kazi ngumu ya kufikiria kazi kidogo kama hiyo. Sisi tunalipa tax, hiyo pesa inaenda kwa national government. National government tafadhali mgawie county pesa. Mkishagawia county pesa ndio waweze kulipa wafanyikazi. Msiende kuzima moto wa wenyewe kwenda kulipa madeni na kwenyu bado kunaungua. Hiyo nayo haiwezekani.
Sasa hatujui ni nini inaendelea kwa serikali. Juu wakati serikali ilichukua mamlaka, ilituambia kitu ya kwanza itafanya maisha ya wananchi, yani ya mahasara. Ilituambia ni serikali ya mama mboga. Lakini sasa hata tunashindwa ni mama mboga mgani. Juu serikali inasema hakuna pesa. Kitu ya kwanza, kama hii maneno ya shule waliondoa ile pesa ilikuwa inasaidia wanafunzi. Maneno ya stima waliondoa. Maneno ya mafuta waliondoa. Kila kitu imewekwa kwa kodi. Na tena wanasema ya kwamba hakuna pesa. Hata sasa tunashindwa ni serikali ya aina gani. Lakini kuna kitu moja tunaambia serikali yetu. Tunajua ya kwamba nchi yetu si nchi maskini, ni nchi iko na pesa. Kwa hivyo wajue venye watalipa wafanyikazi, maana hatutaki kuona wafanyikazi wakienda kwa migomo. Tunataka wafanyikazi walipo.
Jina naitwa Edwin Sambu. Mimi nafikiri kwa maoni yangu serikali kuu kitu ingefanya, serikali kuu si ati haina pesa, iko na pesa, lakini ni venye ni kujipanga ijajipanga. Unajua sasa ni serikali changa bado ndio wameingia, lazima wajipange polepole, na hata kama hakuna pesa kabisa inafaa wajaribu ile pesa kidogo inapatikana wa supply kwa counties, alafu sasa counties at least hata wale wakulima wa chini wadogo wapate kitu ya kukula at least. Sasa hiyo ndio maoni yangu.
Kwa majina naitwa Ann. Mimi ni mfanyabiashara hapa Nakuru, na mimi vile naweza sema kuhusu hii serikali yetu, serikali bado ni changa. So tunatakikana tuipe time ndio waweze kupanga mambo na waweze kuendeleza uchumi wetu vizuri. Another thing naweza sema ni tuache kuharakisha sana. Kila kitu lazima iende step by step. Hata kama ile kitu ningetaka kukosoa serikali ni wasiache kushinda tu wakiegemea na kushinda wakisema ya kwamba ile serikali iliyotoka ilipora kila kitu. Wafanye kazi yao kama serikali, wajue venye watafanya, wajue kwenye pesa itatoka, na pesa iko katika Kenya, na venye tunalipa tax juu tunajua tunalipa tax. Mimi ninafanya kazi na huwa ninalipa tax, kwa hivyo ninajua serikali iko na pesa. So wajue kwenye pesa zinaendanga, si ati tunalipa tax na bado tunaambiwa hakuna pesa.
Serikali inasema ya kwamba pesa yenye inapata inalipia madeni, sababu serikali inasema inadaiwa 9.2 trillion. Je, unafikiri serikali inapaswa kufanyaje ili kuhakikisha hiyo pesa ambazo hata kusanya ushuru, hiyo pesa yenye unapata nyingine unapatia county?
Hasa mimi nafikiri kuhusu hiyo swali, kitu wanaweza fanya ni ile pesa kidogo wanapata, hata kama ni kwa ile mradi ambao walianzisha ya Hustler Fund, ile pesa kidogo inakuja kama interest, wanachukua kidogo, alafu ingine wana supply kwa counties, alafu ile kidogo yenye inabakia wanalipa madeni. Si ati wanalipa madeni yote, wanasahau wananchi wa kawaida.
Na ni lazima lazima Kenya watu wakope ndio Kenya iendelee. Si lazima watu wakope Kenya. Lazima Kenya inaweza kujisimamia, watu wote, kila mtu akiamua atalipa tax, Kenya inaweza jisimamia. Lakini hii pesa inaendaga kwa mifuko ya watu wachache, na hivyo hatutaki hivyo. Tunataka kila mtu, venye walisema mama mboga, mwana bodaboda, kila mtu akuwe na pesa kwa mfuko. Hivyo mimi ndio ninaweza sema serikali ikigawa pesa ifuatilie, ijue pesa inafanya kazi kulingana na venye wamepeana ama kunaenda aje.
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Samson Muruga. Mimi maoni yangu inaweza sema hii serikali ni venye hii kujipanga mapema, sababu hizi pesa zenye walianza kusema eti ni Hustler Fund, nadhani rais ndiye alikuwa na makosa kidogo, sababu kama hizo pesa angeweka kwa mambo mengine tofauti ingekuwa ni afadhali kuliko, sababu hizo pesa, mimi kwa maoni yangu naona kama hizo ndio zilichangia uchumi umezoroteka. Hizo pesa kama ingekuwa ni kujipanga, angeweka kwa vitu zingine kwanza. Kama nasikia counties sijapata pesa, na mpaka chini sasa sisi wenyewe tunaumia juu ya mambo kama hayo. Hiyo Hustler Fund, hizo nadhani ndizo pesa zenye ilifaa au anakawa kwa counties.
Mangicho pamoja na Kagi, hizo ni hisia za Wakenya, wengi wakisema ya kwamba serikali inapaswa kujitahidi kuhakikisha kuwa inafanikisha majukumu yake, hasa kufanikisha malipo katika serikali za county pamoja na malipo kwa wafanyakazi wa umma. Ikumbuke kwamba siku ya Jumatatu waziri wa fedha Njuguna Ndung'u aliweza kusema kwamba matatizo hayo yote yamesababishwa na malipo ambayo serikali yanayalipa kila mwezi ya shilingi trilioni 9.2. Hata hivyo mwenyekiti wa kamati ya fedha katika bunge la kitaifa, mbunge wa Kiaru Ndindi Nyoro, aliweza kusema kwamba serikali inajitahidi kuweza kutafuta mbinu mbadala ya kuweza kuhakikisha kuwa inapata fedha kando na kutegemea mikopo kutoka nje ya nchi pamoja na benki za nchini. Nikiripotia kipindi cha Mid Morning Park, MBCI TV, jina langu ni Vincent Kimutai.
Thank you so much, our reporter there, Vincent Kimutai, on the street. And Kagi, and also I guess Bwana Benson Macharia, will agree with me that the average Kenyan seems to be very much informed today on what is happening in the country, and they are really very keen on what is happening, and they know what is it that needs actually to be done.
Yeah, this government will really operate with a lot of challenges because common mwananchi is really very informed. One of them really amused when she said that wasitupatia kazi ngumu ya kufikiria. You know, it's not our job to think about the tax, about how to expenditures, about the current expenditure. Our job is to pay taxes, do your job, and make our life to be better.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Bwana Macharia, I think most of the wananchi who have spoken there, and then there is that particular issue, and I think that is why, and the reason why most of Kenyans would really feel very disappointed, because how would you explain to the country that we do not have money, yet you are taxing us? And maybe even there are those who are feeling we're actually even more taxed than the way maybe we were being taxed. Is it a case of maybe the government having failed to know maybe how to balance between looking at the issues, looking at the plight of the average Kenyan, the electorate, the mwananchi, and also fixing its obligations of also paying the debt, regardless of the issue that it is the previous government which actually brought us into this particular situation?
Thank you very much. I don't speak for government, but I think when you look at the average mind of the mwananchi, they are actually crying because for them they care less. That's the mwananchi. Even us in our homes, our children care less. They know you are going for work.
Sure.
Daddy will bring grapes, apples, and you pay fees and so on.
And that basically means that it is hogwash for the government actually to begin to tell us that the current situation that we are finding ourselves in is because of what the previous government
and that's why sometimes you in government you say sirikali. Sirikali.
Not serikali.
Not serikali. You know, it came from the word sirikali. Sirikali.
A very deep second.
You can know the truth, but you don't tell people the truth. But now the problem is that we have now, the world has become a global village.
Yes.
If Kagi does something at Subukia, it needs to be replicated in Mombasa. So you cannot be lying to people. It will get also.
So it is wrong.
So it is wrong.
We've got to agree here, because this is what the leaders have actually been running with, this particular narrative.
Yes.
We found ourselves here because of the Uhuru regime. We found ourselves here. It is the handshake that brought us where we are.
No,
this is a fallacy.
I will not say yes or no, but I will say this. You know, when you keep explaining to somebody why you are not doing something, you look weaker, even in that person. That's why as men even, we carry a lot of burdens in our homes, but we don't keep explaining to our wives. We carry the problems at work, but at the end of the day, they need delivery. They need us to deliver shopping, they need to deliver all these things. That's what the government was unable to do. That's why they went ahead to inform Kenyans about, we are pora, tulikuta hakuna kitu. That is now neither here nor there. So mwananchi is now, the way you are saying, wanasema pesa yetu ilienda wapi. So even this hustler fund when people are being given, nobody talk. People receive that money. And people are in default, by the way, even right now. But somebody cannot say, mimi nilichukua na sikulipa. They always say, sisi hatuoni maendeleo. And that is now our people. And now the government has got the singular responsibility of making sure they start creating an enabling environment for everybody. Of course, there are things that as the deep state, you have to understand that there are things being done behind the scene which are going to be seen in the effect overall after some time. But you cannot, again, also as a government, try to explain each and every article. That's why I've sacked Mangicho. That's why Kagi is now the MD. That's why Macharia will now be the chairman of the board. You cannot keep explaining to Kenyans. But finally, maybe after 3 years, you will give us a scorecard. That's why you see even right now everybody will become an opposition person. Because there is what they're expecting and they are not seeing. Right now, if we go for the polls, Kenya Kwanza may not come in. Because at the end of the day right now, kila mtu ako na
If
njaa.
an election was to call today.
Yes, people are now crying.
Yes.
And you see everybody is now crying because there is a lot of misinformation. People are not knowing where we are coming from, where we are going. Or we are fixing milk sector, how. But some of us, when we go straight, me, I cannot argue like a street man.
Yeah.
Because we follow government policies from day 1 to day 10. Because you cannot go and lie to Kenyans that nothing is being done. They are just fixing some of those we call systematic issues that have been there. Even the issue of banditry. We talked the other time. I told you, this issue of bandits, you cannot just wake up and address it with 1-1. The way Kindiki was saying, it's like magic will happen. They have found that there are systematic issues that need to be dealt with even legally, socially, and so on, even economically. So by the time you are addressing those issues as a government, then you say, okay, the reason why you see Macharia was talking like that is because he had actually received ABCD. Actually, we took him to hospital. Actually, we were able to do ABCD. So as a government, you have a responsibility. Wanjiko or Atieno Kerubo does not care what you are saying every day. Oh, tulikuta kuna kitu, sijui handshake, sijui ni. That is neither here nor there. Our issue is we want economy fixed.
Okay. And that also means, before I bring Kagi in, so that basically means even the Kenyans, as you know, because there is the tendency of the leaders thinking that maybe the average Kenyan is not informed, is not, maybe cannot be able to know what is it that has been happening. And so when there is this all manner of information being peddled, that even there was some money that was maybe taken away, there was money that was looted, it's the average Kenyan knows that this is not.
That's why
this is not factual.
hata ukituambia huyu Kagi aliiba bilioni 6, why is he not arrested? You know, sometimes you become just spread propaganda.
Yes.
You're saying Macharia has eaten a full bull. How can I finish a full cow?
Okay.
And you have no evidence in the pictures or whatever and all that. So even our MCs, for example, let's say, we had a budget here in Nakuru. But they had a very rough time trying to convince people we want this and not that. People are learned now. Even a small shosho, a very old shosho is coming to the meeting. He's saying, hapana, mi sitaki mabarabara yako, I want mataa. Ndio nikitoka Mataga nivike wapi? Nyumbani. Why are they now arguing like that? Because now Kenyans have come to the realization that it is no longer about leaders. Right. It's about themselves. So the better this government of the OKK government settle down and start also doing these things. Maybe explanations will come later at some point. But you see, you cannot also operate in a vacuum as a leader. If you don't inform your people, they will be informed by people like Kagi and you. Sure. That's why we normally have the office of the government spokesman. That's why we have cabinet secretary to explain what are the policies, what are the policy changes, what are the nini. And the MPs, when they come to Mashinani, they tell us, hii barabara haikufanywa kwa sababu iliwekwa pesa na haikupatikana. So that we also start understanding how government operates. Because finally, Bwana Mangicho, it will be unwise of us to come here on a national television like this and lie to Kenyans that there were no bedeviling issues that were there in the country. Maybe some people got wrong, but now we need to fix that. Maybe some people got it right, but they were never given an opportunity to implement what they wanted to do to save this country. Okay. So maybe right now, we may mix a few issues here and there so that even as a government, we can be able to assist our people and they get the desired development.
Yeah, and Benson, I think there's one issue that is being raised in Mangicho that we need to ask ourselves regarding to the government is very clear that we don't have enough money. And if we have money, we are using money to be able to pay the debts.
Yes.
But one thing one asks himself or herself, on one hand, the government is very clear that it doesn't have enough money. On the other hand, what the government is doing is questionable. For example, the other time we see the government has budgeted for some expenditures in the office of the deputy president, office of the prime secretary, to buy cars, to renovate houses, all kind of those things. On the other hand, the office of the president himself is appointing 50 CSs who are going to consume a lot of money in our budget. So, does the government double speak, or maybe they are saying things that are not, we are not understanding? Why should here expense with a lot of millions of money? On the other hand, you don't have money. Where are we now? You know, maybe on the other hand, I'm trying to reason about taxation of every commodity, which was not there before. If we are taxing every commodity, for For example, if you go and buy maybe a tissue in a supermarket, it is very expensive today. I don't think there is any commodity which is not taxed. So that means we have raised our tax ceiling as compared to previous years. So I believe we have more money from the Kenya Revenue Authority to be able to run our activities as compared to previous regimes.
I want to believe what you're saying is true, because at the end of the day, like you cannot be seen to buy a very expensive car, but you still tell us you don't have anything to give to the wananchi. And that's why Wanjiku is now coming in and asking very pertinent questions. You know, as a government, you cannot come and lecture us and tell us you don't have money, and yet you are planning for prime cabinet office and even their spouse. And so on and so on. And those are very expensive offices, by the way. To run them, actually, you can build several dispensaries and even schools and equip them, because these are government officials. But now, when it comes to government and you want to operate even to achieve a desired results, sometimes there is what we call facilitation. And this facilitation to the common mwananchi, you see, like even a glass of water like this, somebody watching me from Kwale, where there is no water, or from Turkana, will ask themselves, what is this guy consuming? But maybe this is just a facility, a cup for me, so that I can be able to talk and clear my thought. You understand? But for government, sometimes to explain those details, sometimes it's very hard, because you find them explaining a lot of recurrent expenditure at the expense of development. Let me ask you, for example, right now, you find bursary is coming very late. You take years to give bursaries, and at the same time, somebody is just getting in an aeroplane and going outside the country, and they are given allowances. What becomes of Wanjiku, who is there, who is supposed to access this money so that to save the lives in the hospital? We can save them through rape, and some of them are being raped by walking at night without street light and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of disparity. That's why we are saying, by the time this government we are through with them, they will have come to the people and they will realize they are pro-people, and though they promise, they must deliver. Otherwise, if they don't, we will keep hitting them very hard. That's why me, when I come here, I don't come here as a psycho fan, but I try to watch programs from government.
But Mashari, because we must also say it as it is, and of course we are unpacking these particular issues, so we are agreeing that it is wrong, and it was a wrong move for the government to appoint the 50 CASs.
Yes.
That one we are agreeing.
That one we are agreeing.
It was wrong.
It was wrong.
Because this will make the country to actually go to, or they are coming with a budget of expenditure that is going to be quite humongous at a time like this, when
you see, the problem is when you matching promises versus expectation versus reality. When you want to match, you see, when they were coming to Bahati, hey, Nyinyi, when I get into power, you see your son will get into government. If they go to Kwale, they say the same. They go to Nyanza, they say the same. They go to Mombasa, they say the same. That's why you see at the political class, there's some level of quietness, because majority of them have been accommodated.
Sure. And that basically means that actually even the appointment of the 50 CSS, we can actually say it is not in the interest of the country, but in the interest
of the politician. And that's why you see people like us, Akina Macharia, we can we can talk about Kenya Kwanza, but we will never find ourselves in government, because kuna zile majina, oh, Paul Kage, that is babake alikuwa chief, senior chief, jina yake inawekwa pale. Mangicho Mola alikuwa nani? Huyu Mola anasemekana alikuwa very huge chief in Taita Taveta. Lete hiyo jina, unasikia wewe umepewa ka. And these dynastic tendencies are the ones who are even making this government to be very expensive, because wanasema, you cannot impress everybody. That's why you see there are some world over, there are some governments who are very lean. And that's why you see sometimes this absolute leadership and dictatorship, it may not be good, but sometimes it works in other areas. You find kama enda Uganda, hakuna hii mambo mingi hapa. Rais akisema amesema na mambo inafanyika. Huko watu wameshiba, huko hakuna mambo mingi. Wewe unasumbua watu, toka hapa enda. You understand those kind of things? You know, the word democracy has become very costly for us. You know, democracy says you cannot just wake up one day and you rule people by yourself. Yes. You see, democracy is being interpreted every day, every other day. By the end of the day, those things come back to affect us. We didn't know when we were introducing the new constitution, but there were elements that has to be funded for us to have equality within the constitution. And that's why you see the constitution of Kenya is the most progressive. Why? Sisi tuna demand implementation of every sector. Yes. But now mwananchi analia njaa. That is what we need to ask ourselves. That's what we need to pigie hii serikali kelele mpaka wajue what do we do to fix this country.
And actually, still on the point that Kagi has raised, because this economist by the name David Ndii, I think was being interviewed in one of the local TV stations, I think a few days ago, and if I could actually quote him, he said that I'm very exasperated by the amount of wastage that is happening in the government, amount of wastage. And he himself is an advisor for the same government. And he's saying he's already, it's like he's already throwing in the towel. It's like he's saying the situation is now helpless. How do you make of
that? Is the reality.
That kind of situation.
Sometimes you talk about a politician when you're outside, but when you go to their office and you see the local runnings, you will ask yourself, hiyo hata wakinipee tu wiki moja nitajenga manyumba na nijengea watu wetu. You understand? Yeah. That's why David Ndii now is coming to the, when he was talking as an economist, you don't know the reality on the ground. That's why you see sometimes even us, when you go somewhere, you can keep quiet and people say, Macharia Sema, but you don't speak because you know the reality in government. Yes. That they will say this, but they will do absolutely opposite. Even these governors. That's why you see all of them, they are running up and down, being told, why governor ulituambiria, hakuna, there is nothing you are doing, you president now. People will cry until Jesus comes. Because at the end of the day, the reality of the ground does not match the resources and whatever is given. That's why I like President Magufuli once said, nyinyi wa Kenya, aliambia nyinyi wa Tanzania, he had gone to his hometown. He stood on top of a vehicle, he said, nyinyi wa Tanzania nataka kuwaomba, musije mkaniletea maswala yanayoendelea katika nchi zetu jirani. Musije mkatuambia vile wanajenga barabara za chuma na airport na nini, na sisi wa Tanzania pesa zetu hazijafika kiwango hicho. Mtupatie nafasi tuende maendeleo kulingana na kiwango che, na sitakubali kama rais kuingiza katika madeni yasiyofaa kufurahisha wa Tanzania. And that's how he was able to manage the debts within a country. And those are the realities, Mangichu, of our leaders must come. Even MCs, they cannot come here and promise heaven while at the same time they are doing a lot of nothing. We cannot have governors doing the same. We cannot have a Kenya Kwanza government. When they were talking about the plan, there is so much that they have to do. But is it realistic, Mr. Kagi? It's not. It's just only a ploy by the end of the day to entice the voters.
Yeah, and also Mangicho, the issue of corruption. Yes. It is never spoken. Maybe after some years we are going to hear some scandals. But in the last regime, former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta said that the government is losing approximately 2 billion shillings per day. Do you believe that after the end of his regime, that situation was overturned, that these days we don't lose any money in the government?
No, it cannot and it will not. Why it cannot? The reason why people get in government is to change their lives, to many, okay? That is why, you see Mangicho, if you see today the Macharia has been made the advisor to the office of the governor in Nakuru County, the next phone call I receive from you, oh, I have my sister, I have this, I have a Harambe, I have that. The expectations comes with a lot of, with that office that does not match your income. So you start, don't do the street lights, can't bring the 2 million so that I can distribute. And that's our people. They will judge you harshly for not giving them anything. You see, like us, we go somewhere, me, I'm not elected. But sometimes you go somewhere, kiongozi tulikuona kwa TV, ama we saw you somewhere, please, weka jeshi vizuri. What does the jeshi talk about? They have to be given something. So, our reality is you cannot be able to deal with this. Now, you know, Kenya, even right now, we are not talking about corruption. Yes. You see, there is that silence. But by the time the scandals are coming up, you will realize billions were stolen every day.
So when you're not talking about corruption, does not mean that it's
no. It's silent corruption right now. Ni vile tu sasa jalipuka na Kagi alitoka na COVID. So you know, even you heard about COVID billionaires. Yes. They came much later in this administration, but it was being done. So what we are saying is we must have a honest discussion about a country that if we are going to help our people, we must have leaders who are going to tell our people the truth. Mangicho, if you come to me and you ask me for rent and I don't have money, I should be able to tell you I cannot afford, or my salary is this. Like some of us are friends of the, we have done a lot of work trying to tell wananchi, huyo MCA hana pesa ya kutumia. There is no budget for MCAs to give handouts because his own is his salary. So what he will do, he will have to collaborate with contractors. Wewe usifanye hiyo barabara, ama ukitengeneza barabara usiweke karavati. Hiyo pesa ya karavati lete niweke mfuko. Mangicho akikuja na njia zake, I give him 200 shillings. You understand, this is the politics now we have. Even Kenya Kwanza government, when they come, when a president come to a particular function, they spend millions of money. You will hear even is in Nakuru 200 million is spent on just that single day. If that money is spent to school in Baringo and building classrooms and building boarding schools and all that, Kenya can really change.
Actually, you're talking about the functions.
Yes.
The functions that we see the Kenya Kwanza government having every weekend.
And these things were done even before, even during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. They have not changed anything. So what we are saying is Kenyans must agree also, Kagi, to give up some things for themselves, for the sake of change in this country.
And maybe also, Bwana Macharia, are we saying therefore that are there some gaps in the constitution? Because one maybe would want to ask, if you were to look at these excesses, for example, the wastages that even some of the economic advisors are talking about, are we saying that we do not have institutions, we do not have laws that are supposed maybe to check on this? That if maybe there is something that, or there is some money that is spent, a lot of money that is spent, and if you look at it legally, surely it is not supposed to be spent in that particular manner. Don't we have maybe some modalities of where maybe we can be able to have that kind of expense? Not
we have tried before the institutions, the DCI, EACC, even some people complaining all that, but it's not working. That's why now we are going to Wanjiku. And me, I'm happy the way I'm hearing. You see, we are now discussing about wastage and all that. Because now, let the debate now come to Wanjiku. Wewe, kama sasa kwa mfano ni rais, unakuja kulonchi barabara ya 200 million. Then you have spent 30 million to come and launch that. What is it for? Is it a PR exercise? It is an activity in futility. You are not supposed to come. Just send Mangicho. Just tell contractors, kesho nikute mko kwa ground. But that is not really happening because our leaders have got this mentality that we have to suppress our people in whichever way. Just look for money, we just come and bribe them. Until our people change their mentality, we are not going to go as far as protecting wastage. Because you see, like right now, see kuna cases zilikuwa dropped. Mtu ameua mtu. See, they went free. Sure. Yeah. So my word is law. And that is now where even as a country, where are we going? If you say I have murdered 5 people, and if you become a president, all the charges are dropped, then it means that another person will also murder during your time, so that you understand now. So it becomes like a chain, because Kenya, we have not reached a level where we have seen so far, tell me, one case of a single individual who has stolen money and is rotting in jail. Nobody. In fact, they use the same amount of money to get their way out. They use the same amount to corrupt me and you to make noise that they should not be elected. They should not be arrested. So that's the sad situation of our country. Up until our people know that when this corruption is done, the school fees, the road money is eaten. That's why you see in some countries, ukipatikana na corruption unanyongwa. Hey, like China. Although kupia kuna ufisadi, lakini unanyongwa. So that Kenya hakuna, in fact we glorify thieves. That's why you see somebody who has stolen is elected. Just go to the parliament. I'm not saying that. You find somebody wamechaguliwa wale, huyu aliangusha kampuni fulani, huyu alikuwa auditor, huyu alikuwa you understand Mr. Mangicho. So we have that problem. So we need to fix our country so that hii mambo ya pesa, we see how then our government can come in and arrest the situation.
So it is not necessary. Oh, maybe you can come.
Just one item here, Mr. Ben, regarding the cost of living. And we are very much aware that we are experiencing a high cost of living. And every Kenyan, if you heard those Kenyans, they are all talking about lowering the cost of living, giving the government time. But at the end of the day, everybody is looking forward to have a lenient cost of living. Maybe your observation, Mr. Ben, do you see as if where we are heading to, the price of unga is going to come down, the education, the school fees are going to come down, buying other commodities are going to come down and everything? Are there any hopes, and what are your predictions? When?
I have hope, by the way. I cannot speak like a hopeless man. I have hope because when we go to unga sector, for example, just maize, you think there is importation of maize that is coming in the country. The government has been firm to tell farmers, sell your maize. Because when ours arrive, we will not business as usual. Kenyans are crying for low cheap unga. They're not talking about GMO. When you tell them GMO itawaua, that is neither here nor there because they don't have even anything to it. What the government is doing, the strategy, is that at the end of the day, they may have long-term intervention and short-term intervention. What we are suggesting is unga tunaambiwa zinafika, sijui zinafika lini, hiyo mahindi. They should come, then they sell this to the millers, and then they remove cartels and brokers. Let us be realistic. We cannot be here and talk about, we fail to talk about cartels. They are everywhere, in every sector. And they dictate prices, by the way. They say, Kagi, you are coming with a 200 unga. No, the unga here in Kenya is 400. So, by the time you are trying to explain, wanakwambia hutauza hapa. That's why you see they send it to UK, sometimes other agencies, they destroy your needs. So what we are suspecting, what we are hoping is that the government
but you
has
can wipe
given
out
us
the cartels. The president actually said, I remember
that
he
is,
made that promise.
that is what actually we are looking at. Right now as we speak, there are several people, cartels, who have been wiped up in the coffee sector, milk sector, and also majani, na hata hii mambo ya gas. That's why you see,
now they're heading to the oil, the fuel.
Yes, that's why you see even the gas, that Saifa gas, that was, people made a lot of noise. But there is somebody who has cheap. But they could not be allowed in the country because others are there. You know, sometimes we talk here as if we are angels. These people, they dictate prices, they set prices market within a country, and they say who will not do what. So that's why the country is now being liberalized, even privatization of these institutions that are supposed to assist the government. You see the privatization? Because we know, for example, Peredram is just headed and just held in one corner. That even without that person working with the government, you cannot be able to produce Peredram. Let it be liberalized. Let them do their work. Bora we want Peredram to buy Peredram from farmers. They will not buy from Uganda. We want those who are doing milling, they buy maize from farmers. That is now the cartels we are fighting. But these people calling themselves marketers, security experts, and they earn billions of money in terms of subsidies, by the way. And you cannot just call it. We could not call them out the other time. You call a cartel and kwambia, hata ile maji ulikunywa ni mimi nililipa. You understand now where they, how they normally people. They have even assassinated people in areas where they feel that you are going to assist. Like me, I was working with another organization and we went to the village and we were talking, why are you people not accessing water? No, water is your right, nini. Baada ya kufunza watu haki zao na all that, I was unable to sleep there. The area MP organized goons to come for me at night. I had to be shipped out at night kupita mahali kwa forest huko mahali kuna maafisi na all that so that I could be saved. You understand? Because our leaders have developed models and ways of handling our people. Kagi, if you speak so well about our people, you are censored. Sure. If you portray some sense of open-mindedness, like even in the county government, you cannot be given work. Because wanajua wewe utapiga kelele, wewe utauliza watu na watu watasaidika. Exactly. This is the reality we are being faced. But I'm so happy. Wanjiku, Atieno, Akinyi is now asking their haki.
As we draw to the close of this particular discussion, and maybe Kagi has one more point, but narrowing down to devolution, and as you've been putting it, you're friends of devolution, and looking at the current scenario, Bwana Macharia, whereby the Treasury has not disbursed funds to the counties. What do you think? Are we looking at a situation whereby the counties should now begin to think of how they can be self-reliant, how they can be independent of the central government? Because a situation whereby that we have a staff going for more than 3 months without being paid, what is it that maybe needs to be done? Is it the time that now even the county chiefs, the governors now begin to call themselves into some meetings and begin to ask themselves very, very hard questions on how maybe they need to manage?
There is inequality in the whole country. Why? There are counties who does not produce revenue. They produce very little revenue. Okay. Yeah, we have. Like for example, I'm just saying, like for example, if you go to Garissa, where do they get revenue? That is an Ukame area.
So they have to
completely depend on what now the government will collect from Mombasa through the port, go to the Port of Victoria, come to Nakuru, collect through business. When they come to share, they give those areas. There is what we used to call equalization fund. It was supposed to uplift those low-lying areas so that they reach other areas, so that my son, my daughter can work in Marsabit, the way you see the road network. So we remove money from, say, areas like Kiambu, we distribute so that we also, there is also another thing that government does. The government is not supposed to encourage population within one area. It's supposed to encourage decentralization. So what they used to do, they have to improve all those other areas. So in all those areas like Turkana and all that, they have to be given a lot of money. That's why you see Turkana gets a lot of money. Because the framers of Constitution said, we have to make sure that these people, they get money so that they improve the areas, the health, the sector and all that. So Mangicho from the other area can go and work there. You understand now? That is why you see watu wanauliza kwa nini mnapeleka pesa mingi pale? No, we are saying nyinyi tokeni Kiambu, nyinyi wote wengine waende wafanye nini? Because that's why you see even employment we say 30% not reserved for not locals. Number two, the reason why you see there is this delay in county fund. Some of these counties, they talk long also to utilize their money because of because of the wrangles before. You understand that? Like here in Nakuru, for example, in 2013, we took a lot of, like 2 years to just start seeing devolution. Because MCAs walikuwa nasema governor Kennedy enda nyumbani, yeye anasema na mimi sitawachilia pesa. Again last year, the last regime unasikia wewe Kenya njoo unakula pesa zetu, wewe unafanya. You see even another narrative has also started here. Now there is another war between the governor and one of the MPs. Now you find that will still be blamed for lack of development within our country. But also the national government has a problem because the law says by 15th of every month they must have given counties their allocation so that they can be able to spend. And you know wanalipwa salary from 19th, 2020 something. You understand? But now you see counties right now are talking about 3 months, even 4 months without those allocation. But counties wamejipanga, wale wengine wanasema, we go to banks, they give our people salary, they pay them. When that money comes, they will deduct.
Sure.
But now me, I come as Macharia, as an auditor. I query, hiyo interest inatoka wapi? You see now where now the governments are fixing themselves. So, but now even currently, I must say this. Sio watu wote wafanyikazi wati hawana mshahara. Hapana, ni uongo. Ile wale wenye wajalipo mishahara hasa ni wale wa national government. Kwa sababu national government haijachukua loan kulipa hawa watu. But county staff have been paid, by the way. Na msidanganywe na mtu anakuja kuambia I work with some of them and they have been paid because already the banks have been dispersed the salaries, then they will recover when their allocations come.
So the information needs to be clear.
So the information needs to be clear. So what now has happened, and again counties are not saying sisi to produce anything, lakini tunachukua pesa mingi. You see those countries, we cannot again antagonize them because they are asal areas, arid and semi-arid areas. Sure. We just keep quiet sometimes. That's why you see the government is holding so much, but at the end of the day, you cannot say the truth.
And maybe
maybe in 1 minute, my director is telling me we are pressed for time.
Yes, just finally, a very short question here. These people are saying, let's give the government time to fix the economy. The president and his team, let's give me time to be able to fix the economy. How long is give us time?
I think some of these things, that's why we are saying, you cannot be definite. And I think that is where the government went wrong. By saying, within 100 days, those are just lies. They are just hogwash. Even as we have used those statements before when we want to achieve something from Wanjiku. So even right now, the government will not be able to achieve what they are saying. They may even find they are taking 8 years if they will be there to achieve a particular issue they have promised Kenyans to pay. So the question of nilisema 30 days, the way I'm seeing people asking, it will be too bad for this government because they will be judged actually for not being able to achieve some of those things that they promised Wanjiku.
Bwana Benson Macharia from Friends of Devolution is a governance and also an economic expert. We really want to appreciate you for your time today. Thank you so much for contribution, making sense of our main area of discussion today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sir.
And that is where we want to bring it to a close for today. What a robust discussion here on the current financial crisis facing us as a country and what's needed to be done. Quite a number of issues that have been clearly pointed out here. And of course, we also want to appreciate you so much for following us on this particular show and also for your contribution. We'll do it again next week at a time like this. My name is Mangicho Mola. Have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Yes, I want to thank you so very much for finding time to follow us in our mid-morning park this day. My name is Paul Kagi. I wish you a blessed day ahead.